Looks like we're back for more. Well, here we are with the season 3 and 4 overviews. Now, as you will notice ahead of time, seasons 1 and 2 were decent quality. They got better as they kept going. Season 1 was more of a bronze season, and season 2 was more of a like silver-ish season. I don't know. But the quality kept getting better each time. Well, now with seasons 3 and 4, the quality is most certainly getting better because we finally hit platinum episodes. Yay! So, it's time we go ahead and get started with these overviews. So, what do we have first? Alright, so, The Imposter. I really did like the whole idea behind the spy thing and looking for the imposter. The premise is just a really unique one. However, one of the main problems that it has for me is sometimes the pacing. It can be either slow at sometimes or it can be very fast at sometimes. I do like the premise behind it, and that's kind of what saves this one for me. The Imposter, honestly, to me, gets a silver. One of the other reasons that I really like Imposter is specifically like towards the end, Poppy's reveal, like towards Archer, where she's basically comes off as a shadow, and then when she comes into the light, she gets her color and everything back. I just love that reveal. It's just super amazing. However, once again with the Imposter, there are some lip syncing errors, which don't ruin the whole thing quality wise, but it gets really distracting. So the Imposter gets a silver. The Frenemy, this one is my favorite of the two-parter, specifically because of the fact that it has a lot of the interesting things going on, like trying to figure out how they can sway Archer onto their side and stuff like that. And it's really interesting to watch. It also has one of the most kind-hearted songs of the entire show, the "Rhythm of Your Heart" song, and I kept playing it over and over. It's just such a great song. While I definitely love the whole open-ended approach that they all take throughout the season, I just somehow feel a bit like tricked by this because once we get to season 4, you'll know what I mean. It just feels like they're kind of using Archer as like a plot device, and I'm not really a fan of that. But the Frenemy is honestly my favorite of the two-parter. It granted it's a bit slower and a bit more like more filler-esque. Not quite filler, but you know what I mean. It kind of meanders along doing like, oh, they're gonna sway Archer in different ways. Then they get to this song, and then they try and escape and stuff like that. And it just, I don't know. But the frenemy, in my opinion, actually gets a gold because of what they fulfill in the frenemy more than the imposter. Hairjitsu, I just love the Dragon Ball Z references and stuff like that. I mean, hair jitsu, it's just so fun. And the hairball Dukin is just amazing. It's just so creative and fun with everything that it does. And I do love the message, the importance of patience and stuff. And the twist ending where Poppy got her black belt and stuff like that was pretty hilarious. Now, I definitely am not a fan. Like, when one of the scenes that had Branch beating Poppy and everything like that. She doesn't say a word and she kind of and kind of like has this like look on her face. It scared me at first. When I first watched that episode and saw that moment, I was like, "Oh my lord, is Branch going to take his like hair jitsu powers too seriously like Squidward did in the karate episode? That'd be scary." And stuff like that. I was worried Poppy was gonna go like running away crying or something. I was scared. But it didn't go that route, and I'm glad that it didn't. But I don't know. Hair Jitsu to me obviously gets a gold. I just love the creativity. Crushing it. Honestly, this one was another really good episode. I just don't think it quite hit the gold. Specifically because it's more of a Smidge story. While I did like the whole Smidge crushing on a Criternarian and the whole don't change yourself just for another person kind of thing, it's just an interesting moral to fall back on. And that moral is an important one too, so it's a good one. So crushing it, in my opinion, obviously gets a silver. Meet the Peppy. This one is honestly another good episode, and honestly, it's pretty fun with its opinion. I do love the whole like concept for here. I just love the concept of Branch just trying to impress Poppy's dad. Um, like stuff with friendship and all that. I just really like that. It just shows like real world ideas of like, oh, I got to get to know the parents beforehand, like to reinsure the relationship and stuff like that. Now there are definitely a lot of like different opinions with Meet the Peppy. Like I don't like Smidge and Guy Diamond in this episode. Not because they're mean or anything like that or they're childish, but just because they give off the wrong advice where it's like, "Oh, you got to do this to impress them." And it's like, "No, you realize that they're only going to pay attention to the important details." Like protecting them. Like Peppy's gonna be like, "Oh, all I want you to do is treat my daughter with respect and protect her and stuff like that." And that's what I like about Peppy is he's not like too strict about like the friendship and everything like that. It's just really nice to see. So Meet the Peppy, honestly, in my opinion, actually gets that. Hmm. What should I give it? Honestly, I'm giving it a silver, specifically because I don't like the way they do the whole thing with the swag stag, especially with the end of how Branch deals with like the king stag. I'm not really a fan. Party crash course. This one is all about school, and I'm not a fan of it. While I do like the whole party crash course, like a school thing, and it's really creative too. I'm just not a fan of the whole you have to learn this stuff in like a schoolish style, you know? Like I feel like with throwing a party, it's like why don't you just go to someone like Guy Diamond? I mean, Guy Diamond throws parties all the time. Like he's there for parties. He likes bringing fun to parties. It's like do something. You could do that. I don't know. But I do love the whole creative style with like, oh, there's like a school thing, or you have like a final and you gotta take it within 2 hours kind of thing. It's nice and creative for the most part. I just am, and it portrays the school conflicts and stuff very realistically. It's just the whole, it's just sometimes school can be a nightmare in some ways because of all the stuff they'll shovel down your face and everything like that, and the stuff that you'll learn that you don't really need to learn in spite of like your major or anything like that that'll come in terms with what your life is in store. So, Party Crash Course, in my opinion, actually gets that gold. It's a pretty good episode. Doesn't quite meet the platinum though. It's a gold. It's a gold specifically because it's enjoyable to watch. Trolley Tales 2. Oh boy, we got a sequel. But actually, you know what? They made this sequel better. Specifically because of the fact that, they're not doing the like Deus Ex Machina things and they're not being like argumentative about it like they were in the last Trolley Tales. Instead, it's like, oh, we're trying to team up together and tell different stories just to try and entertain Archer. And I really do like this idea. Um, like I love the whole idea with Biggie's story being something related to like the Achilles heel, and then having like Troy, like with the horse, the wooden horse, and stuff like that. I thought that was a pretty creative move. Um, I do not know um what I I do not know what the other story is about. And then the last one is like Star Wars related or something, which is pretty awesome. One of my favorite anime series versus one of my childhood stories is now coming to life, and I really do like that. So Trolley Tales gets a silver. It's definitely better than Trolley Tales 1, because of its like lack of arguing and stuff like that. But the whole thing with Keith's stories and not having real plot to them and just being like, oh, we're just gonna introduce a bunch of Deus Ex Machinas and stuff like that right out of the back and everything like that, it's just a bit annoying. Because it's like you can't just do every story with like Deus Ex Machinas and just do whatever the heck you want in a story. You need to have it make sense and explain stuff, and you need to have it be creative enough for like kids to enjoy and for adults to enjoy. That's kind of why we make stories like Trolls and many others. We like to experiment with it specifically because of the fact that we always like to find new ways of entertaining our adults and our children. Children are easiest because children have imaginations and growing mindscapes, so they associate with trolls a bit more. But I'd like to see like the movies try and pull something close to this off. I see World Tour being successful because they're not doing a bunch of Deus Ex Machinas, but they're still making creative ideas that could lead to world building in many creative ways. So, Trolley Tales 2 is a silver. Rainbow Mageddon. Well, I can definitely say that this one's okay. I got something in my throat. I do like this episode, and it's one of my favorites with Cloud Guy. The first one obviously being like Cloudy with a Chance of Hugs, even though he's still annoying. But I do like Rainbow Mageddon specifically because of the fun stuff that is involved. I do not like that they have this idea of like, oh, we got plenty of time to spare while we wait on this rainbow and everything. It's like, are you sure? I mean, it's good to wait a while, but you shouldn't like wait too long that you start procrastinating to the point where you're working on it the very last minute. I don't think you should ever do that, especially when you're in college life like myself. It just kind of hits you far behind, and it's not really fair. But I do love the relationship between Branch and Cloud Guy, like the character development. You know what I mean? So I do like this episode. So obviously, I think this gets a silver, specifically because of the jokes and because of some of the interesting ideas that come with it. And I do love the character development between Cloud Guy and Branch. I also do love Poppy in this episode. She's really amazing through this. Coop, Where's My Guy? I do like this episode, and it's honestly better than a lot of episodes. Cooper is actually like one of is becomes an interesting character in this one. Well, Cooper may be like cynical and like simple and sometimes stupid at times. Cooper obviously cares about his friends and is not this like you know idiot that just comes off as comic relief. You know what I mean? Cooper is a character that we know and love, and Cooper has this like side to him that's like I'm not giving up on my friends, and it's really interesting to see that side of Cooper. Because Ron Funches is a great actor to play Cooper. He knows how to bring that special side of him out. And I do love the whole like retrace thing. It just leads to a bunch of hilarious stuff, and it's just really interesting to watch. And I do love the whole flares thing. It's pretty good. And I do love the message that they come across as. Like sometimes you can doubt your friends, but you don't have to like, distrust your friends and not listen to them kind of thing. And I really do like that message. So Coop Where's My Guy obviously gets a gold. Fluffleberry Quest. This is by far my favorite season 3 episode ever. It's one of my all-time favorites, as you'll see in my top 10 best Trolls the Beat Goes On list, which is going to be refixed because of season 7 episodes that exceeded these. I just really like Fluffleberry Quest, specifically because of like the interesting song numbers and choices. I also really love the jokes in this one. They're just super hilarious. And it gives tons of questions as to why the cake tastes awful, even though it's really interesting to listen to. And I love how like the cake is like an important thing to the gang, specifically because like Branch's grandma made it. And it's like, wow, we're going back to the whole Branch as a grandma thing. Like, wow. I didn't think the series could actually pull off these flashbacks and stuff like that. That's amazing. And I do love the whole going through the plush room thing. And I love how it subverts some of the expectations you'd see. Like with stuff like going up slippery slope, you'd think, oh, they're going to go for it. And then at first, they're going to be like, nah, this isn't worth it. And you're like, oh, okay. But then the cake does get destroyed and they still have to go up anyway. But there's a lot of moments that just make me happy. And it's like, this is the Poppy I know and love. Where she's like, I wouldn't ask any of you to come, but I wouldn't be the best friend I could possibly breed a Branch if I didn't at least try to get that plush room for him. Well, she's basically having that crack in her voice that almost seems like she's about to tear up. And that's insane. I'm like, wow, you pulled off amazing character moments. That's amazing. And Poppy didn't say that out of like guilt tripping her friends to go along either. because of the face that she makes when Smidge comes on along for the ride. It's like, wow, this is the Poppy I know and love. It's like Poppy's willing to risk her life for Branch, like to at least try to get Branch more of that memory with his grandma. That's amazing, and I love it. And I do love Branch in this episode too. He's really funny and he's really endearing. And by the end, he gives out something amazing, saying that he can live without the cake, but can't live without his best friend. And I was in love with that because I'm like, it basically means Branch can live without the last memory of his grandma, but he can't live without Poppy. I was like, my heart. It's like, wow. That's just amazing. Like right there. It's just so good. That's the Branch I know and love. This is the Poppy I know and love. And this episode gets a platinum. Wow, our first platinum. What could go wrong? I'm serious though. We got a lot wrong. Okay, never mind. Sorry, something went wrong there. FOMO OPUP, which is basically an acronym for fear of missing out on pop-up parties. This one's an okay episode. It's basically one of those messages where it's like you gotta live in the moment. You can't just entirely wait for something to happen and everything like that. But you do live in the moment, and that's a pretty nice moral. Except for the ending. The ending kind of undercuts the moral because the pop up party just shows up afterwards and it doesn't really live in the moment. But okay, but you still live in the moment because a pop up party did happen anyway and they were able to actually get it instead of like not at all, which is okay. I like it. But sometimes it can rub the wrong way. It's like, really? You can live in the moment, but then when a pop-up party shows up, it's like, okay, forget our message. It's like, no, not really, but still, I don't know. But I think this episode's okay. It's not really quite the gold opportunity though, specifically because it's not really focused on Poppy Branch or anything like that. Branch does show up for really funny stuff, though. It's really amazing. And Poppy shows up for stargazing stuff, and it's amazing. Um, Even though Poppy's like really subtle about the message, too. It's pretty interesting. So FOMO OPUP obviously gets a silver. Lost in the Woods. Now, once again, I'm still not really a fan of the whole Poppy and Archer plot. Like, specifically because I feel like Archer's like a plot device for this season. It's not really fair. Because like I said, with season 4, it's like once we get to season 4, do we really have any use for him or anything like that? You'll see what I mean when we get to it. But I do like how Poppy and Archer just have to learn to trust each other, especially in like a really dark forest with a lot of like dangerous creatures and stuff like that. And it's really interesting to see their relationship grow. While I'm not a fan of like Poppy and Archer just hanging out with each other and stuff like that, specifically because I'm a big fan of Poppy, I still can see Archer and Poppy being the best of friends, just like Branch and Poppy are the best of friends. It's a really interesting idea. But one of the things I do not like about this is sometimes the pacing can undermine it. Like it goes by evenly, but then like it'll have its moments where it's like, oh look, character development, like an emotional moment. Ah, enough of that. Let's keep going. It's like, okay, we didn't really get a chance to kind of soak it up a little bit, but okay, whatever you say then. I also love the cliffhanger ending that'll immediately set us up for season 4. It's pretty nice. So Lost in the Woods, obviously, in my opinion, obviously gets a silver. Party Crashed. This one, honestly, was a really interesting 23-minute episode. It was definitely one of the episodes that I have never watched before, and honestly, going by skips and everything, I thought it was pretty interesting. But once again, it just kind of felt like a rehashing of Pitch Perfect, and sometimes, so while I'm okay with that, like like the Party Crashers and the Trolls doing like sing-offs and stuff like that, I just feel like it's kind of like a cliche plot, and sometimes I'm not really fans of cliche plots, and I'll only tolerate them for so long before it's like, okay, tell us your own ideas. You can add cliches to your ideas, but don't use cliches to basically dictate your entire premise. You know what I mean? But Archer is a really interesting character that got a lot of interest and feedback. And honestly, I love Archer's development. Like One thing I don't like, the only thing I really don't like about Party Crash is like how they basically like to trick us into basically thinking, oh, did Archer really turn to the trolls, or is he still on the side of the Party Crashers? When it's clearly obvious. Like you can see it and you can think it. Like people can think really hard about it and be like, oh, he obviously changed. He's clearly doing this just to try and like get the Party Crashers trust and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It gets a little bit frustrating. So Party Crashed obviously in my opinion does get that gold. But if it weren't if Archer behaved a bit more and they didn't do the whole oh, is he really on this side or is he on the Party Crasher side? It's like you would have gotten a platinum easily. Weekend at Diamonds. This one is a really funny episode. It's really nice and it's really interesting. I just really like this episode in general. It's really interesting with all that it's got. And while I definitely am not really a fan of Guy Diamond's invention and the whole Sky Toronto thing, there's just a ton of jokes with Poppy and Branch controlling Guy Diamond as their like ventriloquist stuff. And the song numbers are pretty interesting too. I don't really like the Branch ventriloquist puppet though. That is creepy. It's really creepy and I don't like it. It's just something that I'm going to have to get used to, I guess. But I don't know. I do love the whole Poppy using a snorkel and everything when they get to Sky Toronto's pool or whatever. Like how Poppy just uses a snorkel and allows Guy Diamond to swim and everything, but she has like the most blank face on her like she has like the most blank face. Like she stares straight off into space or whatever, and it's just hilarious all around. And I do love the stuff that Poppy and Branch get into with each other. They're just an amazing duo and a couple. Regardless, though, I just find it interesting. Spectre and I have been talking a lot when it comes down to like the whole Poppy and Branch like arguing thing. Like because in season 2 I complained a lot about Poppy and Branch just arguing for many reasons. But Spectre and I were talking and we had the deep conversation that it's like, okay, because this is kind of like a kid show ish, they would have to have like kid based morals and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my god, you're right. And it's like it doesn't even last that long, and it doesn't happen in the movies and stuff like that. I'm like, well played. That's pretty well done. I'm actually okay with that. You and I should team up together or something when it comes to analyzing this stuff. Even though I'm clearly fine, even though I'm fine with like criticizing stuff on my own too, because a lot of times I don't like collabing specifically because of the fact that um people will get jealous that I collab with this person or like this like YouTuber or anything like that. I don't know. It's just I don't know. I'm still dealing with a lot of stuff. But Weekend of Diamonds was an interesting episode, and honestly, it does get that gold, specifically because of the jokes and the interest within it. But however, if it did some stuff better, it would have gotten a platinum. I mean, a lot of these episodes look like they're gonna get a platinum. Interestingly, Branchception. This is my favorite season 4 episode, like ever. It's really interesting what it does. Branchception, I know it's like an Inception thing, but I just love the whole idea of Branchception just being like, oh, we're just going into the mind of Branch where he's in a dream where everyone worships him. It's just so hilariously funny and it's amazing. Um, while I definitely don't like the mean spiritedness at the beginning, here's the thing though. That mean spiritedness is warranted because of the fact that they'll end up forgiving him at the end of the episode. And like Poppy apologizes in the best way possible. Brandception is just all mind-bogglingly creative, and it's just has this moment of like, oh, we're just gonna see what everyone would think worshiping him. They have this big musical number for him and everything, and it's just funny. One of the things I do like is just how there's a bunch of machinas everywhere. But the machinas are okay because we're clearly in a dream. It's just super funny. Like I question how the creatures are just like standing there in their nets instead of like trying to get themselves out of the nets like any typical creature would. But I don't care because, it's a world where Branch is adored by literally everyone. Where Branch is treated like a god. It's pretty fun. I do love the whole I still want to date other people line from Branch, and that makes everyone, including myself, think he's clearly talking about Poppy. But I don't know, it's just something. Um, Another thing that I do like is they don't introduce the whole you can do anything in a dream scenario until the end when he actually figured it out. It's pretty interesting, the pacing. And once again, where Poppy's just like, well, 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 with like this evil look on her face, it just gives me this interesting idea of like Poppy being the antagonist. It just looks creative and interesting. And it gives me a ton of innuendos that I'm not going to talk about. But I just really like this episode. And the apology that Poppy gives at the end is just really interesting. Like she rubs up and down her arm and everything and makes these sad faces. And it makes me feel like she's actually being genuine with this. And saying that she'll always value Branch, even if they don't have the like same opinions and stuff, or like not always agreeing with each other. And yeah, that's a pretty good moral there. I like that. And that's what I like about Brandception and all these other platinum episodes that will come later, is that they introduce great morals and great storytelling while giving off creative ideas, even if it doesn't really involve like way too much creativity. And they're doing their own thing with their own world building, only referencing the movie when they have to. You know what I mean? So Brandception is the season 4 episode that gets a platinum. The Bunker List. I'm okay with this episode, but once again, I feel like they should have all listened to Poppy and none of this should have ever happened. Um the Bunker List is a good episode, but I just, it's kind of a cliche one like message where it's like you got to like soak in the moment and you want to grow and everything, then you got to take it one step at a time instead of doing it all at once as fast as possible. I just don't like the deal. And it wouldn't, and it's not Branch's fault or anything. It's Smidge and Guy Diamond's fault. In fact, they should have never appeared in the Bunker List to begin with. But that's just me. The Bunker List is a good episode. I'm not a fan of the whole Branch like doing a punishment of like dressing up like a baby thing at the end. It's just, I don't know. It just seems a bit weird and anger inducing to me, but I don't know. It's not anything mean spirited, so I'm not gonna be mad at that. But I do like the Bunker List, and I think the Bunker List will definitely get that silver. The Interns. Once again, it's a Sad and Chenille episode that I'm not really a fan of. As you have seen from the season 1 and 2 overviews, I absolutely am not a fan of Sad and Chenille episodes. While they're good and they're not really, really bad, they're just a bit boring to me. Like, they don't really stand out like Poppy and Branch's stories, or anything related to Guy Diamond's stories, or Smidge's stories, or anything closely related to that. You know what I mean? But The Interns is still a good episode, with Nova being really kind about her truthfulness and being hiring Satin and Chenille as the interns. It's pretty interesting. And I do love that Nova is much more like convincing in this. And even when they're being honest, it's like, yeah, being honest is a good thing. So I do like the interns. But, the interns gets a silver. Three troll skateers. Once again, Poppy as a worm being the antagonist is just fun. Also, I do love the nod back to like the troll skateers thing. It's a pretty interesting one. And I do like the idea behind it. Um, However, the whole misconception and everything, and it being Guy Diamond's arc, is just a bit irritating. Because like they always have these moments where it's like, oh, Guy Diamond has to learn that he shouldn't be like over obsessive about himself or his shows or anything like that. And it just comes across every time, and I don't know. But the Trollsketeers was still a really fun episode to watch. And honestly, this episode does get a gold for what it was trying to teach and for the fun it gave. It was just super interesting to me. And I do love Poppy as a villain. Once again, it's just interesting. So the three Trollsketeers is obviously a gold. The Helper, once again, a gold. Specifically because I love the idea of Smidge just trying to find another like way to help other people out. And I do love the whole help ship thing. Seriously, make that a word. And I just love the whole scrap recap where Smidge just takes off the arm, and then like Felt Poppy is just puking. It's just super hilarious to watch. And I do love that Poppy has her moments where it's like, okay, you're really annoying me right now. We need to have some space moment, and it's just interesting. But then they'll have the moments where it's like, okay, I'm sort of kind of missing you right now, kind of thing, and it's interesting. So, and I love the character development within it. So the helper gets a gold. Anyway, Smagician. This one is another good episode, but honestly, it's just not really for me. But it is still a good episode, but it's like it just comes out of nowhere. It's just one of those episodes where it's like, oh, Smidge is like secretly having like magic powers or stuff like that. And then it's like, oh yeah, well, Smidge actually doesn't have these powers and stuff like that. Because, magicians always fake their stuff and they never reveal their secrets and stuff like that. But this is an entertaining one to watch. So with Smidgician, I'll obviously give it a silver because of the jokes and the whole thing. But I don't think it quite reached the fun enough to get a gold. DJ's Got Talent. Now this is what we're talking about. An episode where you can basically say you can go ahead and try talents as much as you wish, and you can try your best to impress everyone. But there will be moments when they'll just love you for you, and that they're perfect because they're them, like they're being themselves. And I do love that. The song that DJ's niece CJ sings is just really fun to listen to, and it got an awe out of me because honestly, it is pretty cute just to see all of that, and to know that CJ will still love her aunt even though she doesn't really have a lot of talents besides being a DJ because her name is DJ. It's just really fun to watch and it's really endearing. This one is a must get gold. It doesn't really quite hit the platinum. Like it needs to sway my emotions like in the very right ways, as well as being quite entertaining. It needs to have that special moment for it to be like in the platinum. You'll know what I mean when we get to these other ones. Peril Patch. This one is a very fun episode because it's like a mini golf episode. However, when it says fuels competition between Poppy and Branch, you start to get scared and you're like, oh no. Please don't tell me please don't tell me where I think you're going. It's like, oh no, please don't do this. But then it's like, oh, the competition's actually warranted. And then the whole, oh, we're gonna get stuck in this field if we don't get out of here kind of thing. Like it'll get you attached to golf and everything, and it's like, nah. And then the whole Poppy just like fighting off the roots with like two golf clubs is just awesome to watch and gives Poppy a new appreciation. She's just super cool. And Branch's like golfing thing at the end is just amazing. I do love it. The golf episode is just amazing to watch. I'm not really a fan of the whole earmuffs thing and stuff like that because I do want to know what Poppy's stuff was because after like loosening up and everything with the competition, it just seemed like okay, Poppy's clearly not trying to like be mean or compete with you anymore. She's just trying to get you to listen to her kind of thing, and it's pretty interesting. So Peril Patch gets a gold. Sibling quibbling. This one is another great episode. While it's definitely got like its own moment of like filler and just going on for a little bit longer than it should, I do love the whole like Poppy and Branch, like not Branch. I do love the whole Poppy just like trying to help out these two, and the whole Satin will have a moment where she wants to do stuff her own way and do them with different friends other than Chenille. So honestly, I do like this episode, and it portrays sibling rivalry pretty well. So sibling quibbling obviously gets a gold. I do enjoy it. Musical Thrones. I do like this episode, but sometimes when it's like, okay, you're really taking the games thing a bit too much to the point where it's like, oh, you're breaking up friendships right now. It's like, I don't know. Because I do like Smidge and Biggie's alliance, and it's really fun to see a musical chairs thing, but seriously, I don't know what's happening. And sometimes I just don't know. But Musical Thrones is still a fun episode to watch. It's really creative, and it has its own moment of, like, learning a lesson. So, Musical Thrones, to my opinion, obviously gets a silver. And for the last one, it's Branch Bum. Branch Bum is very mixedly received, and this is a big one too, because Branch Bum has been deemed as like one of the ways to quote unquote destroy Poppy kind of thing, like destroy show Poppy, I mean. It's like, really? I don't see it. Because like I said in Paralleling Poppy, I don't care. I mean, it'll be discussed in season 8 with Paralleling Poppy stuff. It'll be discussed in season 8 on Friday. We'll see it. I promise. But Branch Bum is obviously a gold, specifically because of the fact that I do love the whole Frond personality. Once again, Frond is a part of Branch, not an alternate personality like DID or something. Seriously, people need to lighten up. But I do love the whole Branch Bum situation. It's just really interesting to watch. The whole teleportation stuff and are just really interesting ideas to watch. And going through Branch Bum is like seeing Branch in a whole new personality where everything is just safe and there's nothing really to worry about. It's just interesting. The island provides quote is, I don't know. It just kind of comes off as creakish, and I don't really like that. That's the only thing I don't like about Frond, is that he acts kind of like Creek, and I don't like that. Because there should be no one that should ever act like Creek. They can be they can be calm and everything just like Creek, but they can't be mean like Creek. You know what I mean? I just don't like Creek, and there's a lot of people that don't either, so we're good with that. Branch Bum is obviously a really fun episode, and I do love Poppy apologizing to be like, okay, I'm sorry. Yes, the old Branch drives me crazy, but I never should have wished him away, kind of thing. And it shows that she cares. And look, a lot of people complained in Branch Bum where it's like, she only wanted the old Branch back after, like, their ship falling apart and stuff like that. I'm like, no, that's not true at all. Because I'm pretty sure in a while we've seen Poppy get, like, really irritated of Frond because of his personality and how he won't really, act branchish. And when she finally snaps and everything and then apologizes and stuff like that, that's when it kicks in. And you gotta realize that more. It's like with Spectre and I talked about. Sometimes it's all about presentation, and sometimes the presentation is a bit of a yikes. And when it gets to the yikes, it's like, oh boy, now you're gonna get the interpretation all mixed up. That's kind of what the problems were with Creek Week and Prank Day, is that sometimes the presentation was a bit of a yikes, and because they were a bit of a yikes, they pushed me in sort of a mean spirited direction that obviously gave them zeros. So I don't know, but Branch Bum obviously gets a gold. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and refix it. All right, I'm gonna do the recap much slower this time so I don't forget. The Imposter, silver. The Frenemy, gold. Hair Jitsu, gold. Crushing It, silver. Meet the Peppy, silver. Party Crash Course, gold. Trolley Tales 2, silver. Rainbow Mageddon, silver. Coop Where's My Guy, gold. Fluffleberry Quest, gold, platinum. I almost screwed that up there. Coop Where's My Guy, gold. Fluffleberry Quest, platinum. FOMO Opop, silver. Lost in the Woods, silver, I believe. I'll go back and see, but I'm pretty sure I said silver for that one. Okay, season 4 episodes now. Party Crashed, silver. Wait. I'm pretty sure Party Crashed is silver or gold. I'll put it in the comments, obviously, if I screw it up. But it's just so hard to talk about too many episodes when you go on and on with stuff. Weekend at Diamonds, gold. Brandception, platinum. The Bunker List is gold. The Interns is silver. Three Trollsketeers, gold. The Helper, gold. Magician, silver. DJ's Got Talent, gold. Peril Patch, gold. Sibling Quibbling, gold. Musical Thrones, silver. And Branch Bum, gold. Alright. But I will put in the comments, I promise. I will put in the comments which ones I messed up, and I will go back to the video each time and then state it in the comments which ones which ones I said were this when they were actually this. I promise I will go back and do that. But the ones that I were confident on, I promise that I'm confident on. I am confident that Branchception and Fluffleberry Quest are both platinums. So we're good with that. Anyway, I'm sorry that this video went on for like 40 minutes. I just had to ramble on about Season 3 and 4. Because they increased in quality, there's a lot more to talk about. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this episode, and if you this overview, I mean, if you really enjoyed it, then yeah, you know what to do. Because obviously I just don't like saying hit the like button and subscribe kind of thing. I just don't like doing that because it's like you really, that's not really a fair thing to do. Because it's like, what if they like my content and what if they don't? You know what I mean? They can subscribe if they want, but it's entirely up to them. You don't need to like basically be like subscribe, subscribe, you know what I mean? Anyway, thank you so much. And as always, I will see you in the seasons 5 and 6, 7 overviews, and of course, the Broppy review, as well as the series overview. Oh lord, that's a lot of videos to get done tomorrow. Anyway, bye!